Welcome to another exciting episode of Get to Know Your Performer, starring Jimmynutblast. Here's a clip of him singing before we start the interview.
Got me feeling like I wanna be that guy. I wanna kiss your eyes. I wanna drink that smile. I wanna feel that kind. When my soul's on fire, I wanna stay up all day and all night. Yeah, you got me singing like, ooh, I love it when you do it like that. When you're closer, give me the shivers. Oh, baby, you wanna dance till the sunlight cracks.
I'm here with Jimmynutblast, an excellent performer. Welcome
Hello,
to be on the
hello.
show. Get to know your performer.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So I got a couple questions for you. And
Yeah, of course.
yeah. So I want to know what got you into VR.
Yeah, so it kind of started back in 2019, and I found VR chat with like a few friends back in like early 2019. Might even been like late 2018. And we just kind of messed around on it, and it wasn't really, I never really came back to it in any way. But and then 2019 happened, and basically what happened was I played music like at live gigs, and I kind of wanted to prepare when I wasn't playing live gigs, so I started playing on VR chat. And then I would just play at the open mic night, and I played with a lot of different people, and I met a bunch of people that I still talk to today. And basically, it started to kind of simmer down, and then COVID happened. And when COVID happened and lockdown happened, everybody kind of went back onto VR chat, and that's how I kind of really got back into it. And since then, I've been way more active on it, and a part of like a few communities now that have kind of I don't know, formed during lockdown that are now really well established. And so it's just yeah, ever since then.
Yeah. That's interesting to know that this got you into it. I can't
Yeah,
even think about
it was crazy.
Yeah. How long have I known you? It's been like 2 years?
I think we've known each other for a while. Yeah, it must
Yeah.
have been at least 2 years, maybe. Yeah.
Okay. So I kind of want to touch on the anxiety thing, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, for sure.
I know there's some performers that probably deal with this. I want to know what your process is for dealing with performer anxiety.
So, I'm 20. Well, I'll be 22 in about a month. So I'm 21 now, but I've been doing like music since I was like 9 or 10. But I'm a drummer first and like foremost. Like I've always that's the instrument I started with was drums, and I guess technically like percussion. Um, and I kind of see drummer and percussionist as two different things. But basically, I started that when I was like 11 or so, and I've played, in front of people in real life, just at gigs and stuff, since I was like 11 years old. And at first, you get that stage fright, but I think especially when you're playing an instrument where it's just you, compared to playing with like a bunch of different people, that's where the pressure is put onto you, especially as like a drummer where people are relying on you, and if you mess up, basically everybody will mess up because everybody's kind of relying on you to keep the drive. And what we call it is the engine room. That's the whole drummer thing. So I've kind of been exposed to like playing in front of audiences for so long at a young age. It doesn't really bother me anymore. It was a little weird when I first picked up guitar and singing, especially singing, because I think like singing is like your own vocal, like your own voice. And you're really trying to like portray your voice, and that's something you really can't change too much. Like the tone of your voice is like the way your vocal cords are like constructed and stuff, so the way you sound will be the way you sound. I mean, obviously you can like make it better, or and kind of become more consistent with your tone, but that's, I think, it was a little nerve-wracking at first getting into guitar and vocals, but since then, I've never really had like the actual fear of playing in front of people for a long time. In fact, I actually think the more people that you play in front of is better. I think I'd rather play in front of like hundreds of people or even thousands of people than play in front of like 5 to 6 people, because I think the more people that you see in an audience, you kind of forget that each person has their own individual mindset.
Hmm.
and it just, in my opinion, it makes it easier. So
Okay. Yeah, that's some good points you brought up there. Very interesting. Didn't even
yeah,
think
thank
about it.
you.
Some, yeah. Um, I want to know your creative process. Can you describe that to me with music? How you come up with the songs and such?
Yeah, so I've written a few songs, and I uh I really have a lot of inspiration from a few artists, and
Mm-hmm.
I got into guitar back in like 2017. And like the stuff I listen to is not really, always the stuff I play. I always like to play stuff that works well with the acoustic guitar. Um, and I would say like, listening to like what really got me into guitar was Zach Brown Band. I don't know if the country band, Zach Brown Band.
Mm-hmm.
That was a start for that, and then like Thomas Rhett too, just like learning like the guitar riffs and stuff when I was like 17. And that's really what got me into that. And then kind of building off of that, where I got the loop pedal idea was from Ed Sheeran. That was an artist that used a lot of loop pedal. And then I've also tried to look at John Mayer for just like some of the songs he does. And so it's kind of like pulling inspiration from a bunch of different artists to sometimes cover their songs or basically just take a song. And what I use is a loop pedal and just try to see if I can make it work on a loop pedal. But yeah, the creative process for me is really just trying to take inspiration from other artists, and then my thought on kind of being creative, in my opinion, is I've never taken lessons for any instrument in my life, and the reason why is I personally believe, and I may have a different opinion from other people, but I personally believe that if you're being taught an instrument, you're always going to have that teacher's style or way of playing somehow incorporated into your own
Hmm.
playing. And then, but if you self teach yourself, then it's only you. You may have inspiration from some other artists, but you'll have your own defined style that's not really influenced directly by like a teacher.
Hmm.
Rather, you're just pulling inspiration from other artists. That's my thought on it, and that's kind of the thing that I like to try to put into what I play and the music that I like to try to make.
Okay. That's interesting. All
Yeah, I
right.
do. I definitely have some some probably I don't know if they're like unpopular opinions, but definitely some opinions that are probably very different from a lot of people.
Yeah, I like your answers. They're very interesting to me. It doesn't very elaborate. I like that.
Yeah, it's cool. It's really cool to kind of talk about it. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm having a fun time right now with you, man. It's good stuff.
yeah, me too.
Um, let's see what else we got here. Have you ever given like music advice to anyone? You would give them out there. What would you tell them?
Um, I really don't give out too much advice to somebody that unless someone comes to me directly and asks me for something. I'm no music master.
Mm-hmm.
I think everybody is still like a student in some ways because people always learn and they're always learning new things. And no matter how good you are, if you think you're like the best, that just means you're not the best because I just think everybody's in a process of learning and everyone's
Right.
just at a different stage of where they're learning. And for me, it's like my most confident instrument is still drums. That is
Mm-hmm.
something I've done for over a decade now. I've only done guitar and vocals for a few years. And every day I like to basically look to other people and see what they're doing and see what I can try to not mimic, but kind of incorporate some stuff that they do into what I do. And just kind of pull, especially when I go to like on VR chat and I'm going to like people performing and like
You're fine,
specifically
man.
singers.
Take your time. Take
I
your
like
time.
to I like to look at the singers and kind of pull from them
Mm-hmm.
and see what they're doing that I have not been doing. Um, and then basically what I do is it's kind of a very cliche answer, but is practice. Like literally during the summers the last 2 years, every single day I was going into the studio where I have like a home studio set up and just playing. And I would go and I would start at like 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I would go until like 3:30 in the morning every single night,
Oof.
and just play. And I did the same thing with drums. So like I've I'm not trying to like say anything that I'm like great on drums or whatever, but I know that I've become in my opinion, experienced enough with drums to know that that process works of dedicating a lot of time to it, and eventually it'll pay off. And I think that that's the biggest advice I can give anybody is just you got to just keep working at it, and you got to go above and beyond too, especially if you want to really progress and get to somewhere where you are happy with it. But also, you should never be happy with it because you just got to keep grinding, basically,
Right.
and have that mindset where you just need to keep getting better and better. So that's probably what I would say.
Okay. Yeah, that was your answers. I love them. Very good.
Thank you.
I like it. It's just like nice, steady stream to it. Most people are very bland with it, but I like what you're doing.
I appreciate it. I like to share my inputs as best as I
Yeah,
can.
it's good stuff. I want to know what's to get off the subject. Now I'm having a hard time talking. Don't mind me. Let's get off the subject of the music. I want to know, do you have any other hobbies that you do besides that? Interests?
Yeah, so music has kind of become my biggest thing, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, like I'm a student. I still go to college. I'm almost done, but
Mm-hmm.
I do a lot of different stuff. I like to travel. I love traveling. I used to play a lot of sports when I was younger.
Oh, what
And
sports?
I still love like going outside. I've played when I was younger. I played football and
Oh,
I played lacrosse.
okay.
Where I'm from, those are pretty big. Well, football is pretty much big anywhere in the United States, but lacrosse is really big where I was from too.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I mean, I did a lot of stuff, but I think music specifically has been always something that has been a hobby of mine that I've just kind of picked up more so recently. And it really just comes into I've kind of shifted, like I said, from playing only drums to playing drums, guitar,
Mm-hmm.
and singing. And now I'm kind of in the process where I'm just doing singing and guitar. So I kind of see those as like their own little sub hobbies. Cause like obviously music's like the whole thing, like the whole bread and butter of like drums, everything, all the instruments. But
Right.
I've kind of really just been honing in specifically on guitar and vocals in the last couple of years. So but yeah, during COVID, that's a lot of the hobbies I had pre-COVID, I don't do as much anymore, but I'm hoping to try to get back into them
Yeah. Nice.
very soon. So,
Yeah, get back into
but yeah,
lacrosse and all that. Sounds fun.
yeah, I think it'd be cool to go back into and do some sports again. And
Mm-hmm.
I work out too. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff that just kind of has been on pause since COVID, and people's
Yes.
lifestyles change.
Mm-hmm.
Like 2 years, like everything is so different. Like I'm a very different person than I was 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's going to be really hard to kind of incorporate some of these hobbies again. And maybe I never will incorporate any of these hobbies again. Or maybe I'll pick up new hobbies. Who knows? And I think that's kind of
Yeah.
the beauty of it.
That's kind of the fun, the unknown, the adventure.
Exactly. I think it's really, really, really just, I don't know. It's cool. I mean, who knows what we could be doing in a year from now. So,
I don't know. But yeah, that's cool. I
yeah, yeah.
I didn't realize you only been singing for 2 years, pretty much as long as I've known you. I'm like, oh wow, he just started.
Yeah, I mean, I sang a little bit more. Like, I've technically like sang a little bit since, actually, no, yeah, it's been about 2 years. Well, I started probably late. I guess it wasn't 2 years. I guess like starting singing like just like to try it out was probably late 2017,
Mm-hmm.
2018ish. But taking it like actually like more seriously, where like I'm more open to just doing it in front of people was probably about 2020. Yeah, maybe a little bit like late 2019, 2020.
Okay.
So
Yeah, you've been at it for a while, man. But it's not that while actually. It's
yeah,
kind of short. But, mm,
yeah, it's been like a process, and I don't, I always think, and another thing I do too, which
mhm.
I forgot to say earlier, is every time I play somewhere live, I always like to find the video recording of it and just listen to it and like figure out what I did wrong, what I can do better.
Right.
And that's yeah, that's probably the other thing that I just really like to do as well. And sometimes you listen to it and you're like, oh my god, like what the like I cannot believe I did this. Because you're like, wow, like there's so much that needs to be improved. So yeah, but and then you also sometimes get like those really good performances where you're like, wow, like that actually sounds pretty good. But um, yeah, I don't know. I think it's just it's interesting. It's interesting. It's an interesting process.
Right. Uh, yeah, that's really cool. I learned a lot about you, and I've known you for so long. I feel like I'm actually starting to get to know you. We never really get to sit
Yeah,
down.
yeah, no, it's yeah, it's cool to kind of talk about it, and it's funny. It's been like 2 years, but every time I was
Mm-hmm.
on VR chat, it was usually just to play, and if I
Right.
once I played, I'd just get off, and it's been so long that I'm surprised that I haven't actually sat down and like and talked to people more so and get to know people better.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that just started happening in like a couple weeks ago after we did a Ukrainian charity stream, and after that, I actually just got to speak to a lot of the people that also perform and get to know them better. And I've never done that. I've known these people for like 2 years, you know.
Right.
So it is cool to finally get to talk to people more, 100%.
Yeah. I'm just kind of why I'm doing these interviews is to let everyone get to know the performer because no one really gets to talk to them. They go off and do something.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's a really, really cool idea you got here because I think a lot of people, especially when performers play too, you know, you can actually sometimes they'll tie in like a story to what they're,
Mm-hmm.
what they're performing, or if you
Yeah.
know more about them, their performances may be worth more, So
Yeah, for sure. That's how it goes because then the song could be more meaningful if you understand their perspective.
exactly, yeah, I think this is
Mm-hmm.
a really, really cool idea for sure.
Yeah. Um, if you have any questions for me,
I just want to say, I love this world. I know I already said this once, but yeah, I mean, yeah, I think it's a really, really cool world, and if you're watching this interview, you need to come to the shows and watch.
yeah,
If you're
this
watching this
Sunday.
interview, you need to go to the shows and watch this
Mm-hmm.
Sunday.
Yep. Well, it's every Sunday, really,
And
at the same time.
every Sunday, you heard Froggy. You got to come every Sunday and watch the show. And if you don't, I'm not gonna be happy.
Oh, he's gonna be cranky. You don't want him cranky. But this is the point where I like to kind of wrap it up. You can plug your socials if you want.
Yeah, I have a Spotify. It's called Jimmynutblast. If you look up Jimmynutblast on Spotify or Apple Music, I think even like Deezer, Pandora, wherever, any of like the big streaming platforms, I'm Jimmynutblast on them. And then I have a YouTube that's also just called Jimmynutblast. And I'm writing an album that I'm gonna try to put out fairly soon, and hopefully you check it out. But only check it out if you go to Froggy Show. Thank you.
That's good. Uh, all right. Well, it was a pleasure having you on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm really, really excited to perform this Sunday, and yeah, thanks everybody for listening in.
Mm-hmm. All righty then. And that's it for Get to Know Your Performer. Bye bye.
Bye bye.